Alright, awesome. Well, I'm just gonna let people join in as they're coming in, whatever, they'll take their time. I did notice that I accidentally set the time zone for the live stream. It was like automatically set to Pacific time, so technically that was 12:30 Pacific time, and which would have meant I would have been streaming at 3:30 my time. So I hope that didn't confuse everyone. This is actually the time I'm going live. I changed it everywhere else. I didn't even see it. It's like a really small, like a tiny little option in the menus for the dashboard. So I'll definitely make sure that's fixed for next time. Y'all, my promise for you to you guys is that by the end of 2018, I'm gonna have a perfect live stream. That's definitely gonna happen. We've had so many issues. I can't even, get into it at this point. If you've watched my past live streams, I've been having some issues with the software or whatever. But that doesn't matter. We're gonna have an awesome live stream. So thank you to all of those are joining now, or to those of you who are watching after we streamed. Thank you so much for watching. In this live stream, I'm gonna do a couple things. First of all, I'm gonna make sure that my mic is not distorting. All right, that should be good. Awesome, yeah, so we're gonna go over a couple things in this video. I titled this Animating Like Apple using Screenflow. So we're gonna be trying to recreate a really cool animation that Apple put out about a year or two ago, and we're gonna do it in Screenflow. And now you don't have to have Screenflow to do this. You could probably do this in something like iMovie. The whole point of this tutorial is really just to show that you can do this with something like some cheap software like Screenflow. You don't have to have After Effects or Premiere, but even if you have something like Motion or Screenflow, whatever it is, I'm hoping to kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to animate a little bit better just using some cheap software. So we're going to get into that in just a few minutes, but also I wanted to announce something really cool in this live stream. I'm going to be putting out a new channel, not on YouTube, but on Discord. So I actually started a group on Discord called MacSQHQ. That's just kind of what we've been calling these live streams, so I thought we would do that in Discord. And really the whole idea here is that you guys can have a more personal relationship with me and other people in this community. You can ask me questions, you can get some extra tips and tricks, and I'll also eventually be putting in some like project challenges where I'll challenge you guys to make your own videos and tutorials and try and give you feedback. So I'll put a link in the description, but if you haven't used Discord, it looks something like this. This is basically what it'll look like. It'll work on Mac, on iOS, you can use it in the web as well. But it's a lot like Slack, if you've ever used that. Basically, it's just like a messaging network. It's kind of hard to describe, but basically everyone can just sign in here and they can just hang out in this chat. I've created a couple different channels. This is really just for general purpose, and then the pro tips is going to be where I'll be giving you guys extra tips and tricks for Mac that aren't really big enough to really put out on my YouTube channel. They're just not big enough ideas. It wouldn't be worth making a whole video just for that. So I'll be putting that in there, and then the feedback channel is really for you guys to suggest video ideas, put out other options for videos, or just give me feedback on what you think of the latest videos and live streams, and yeah, just really hang out with other people in the community, and hopefully you can ask me any questions that you've been wanting to ask. I know that's also what we've been using for the live stream. So if you have missed a live stream in the past, or you weren't able to make it, you can always just jump on to this channel and ask me there. So definitely be sure to join this Discord channel. I'll put a link down in the description, and you can definitely check that out. So yeah, so that's kind of the big announcement that I was referencing earlier. If you watched my video yesterday on DisplayMade, I kind of announced that I was going to be putting out something new on the channel, and that's something that I'll keep kind of plugging here and there in other videos, just to get as many people as we can in these channels, so we can really build the community offline as well, and you guys can really connect with everyone. So definitely be sure to check out Discord. It'll be an awesome place to hang out. So that being said, I want to get started with this tutorial. This will be, I'm not really sure how long this will take. I really want to give you guys the just the kind of tools and basis of how to do this, just the basics of how to do this animation. We might not get the whole tutorial done in this live stream just because, you know, I want to try and keep this under 30 to 40 minutes, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and kill the music. I'm not even sure if you guys can hear the music. I'm actually using a plugin called Soundflower to like route that music out and back into the live stream. So I can't actually hear it, but hopefully you guys can. So let's go ahead and switch that. Change a couple settings here. Give me a minute. Awesome. Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be recreating this animation here. This is a video that Apple put out, 2 years ago. So, wow, so man, time flies. iPhone 7 was 2 years ago. This was 2016 when they first announced the iPhone 7. You know, there are a ton of new features that, you know, everyone was losing their mind about and whatnot. But what was really cool about that keynote is that Apple started it off with this really cool trailer, and they called it "Don't Blink." And this whole animation kind of started this whole trend all over the internet. You've probably seen this used by tons of companies at this point. But basically, the idea is that you use just a ton of flashing like text, and you just go through the whole like trailer really quickly, and you have some, you know, drums in the background pretty much as your music. So that's really the whole animation. I'm gonna just pull the music down. If the audio quality of this music and you know, the animation later on is poor, that's just because it's just coming through my mic because I have to hear it as well. So that's why that's happening. But this is the animation we're gonna try and recreate. All right, so you get the idea. Basically, it's just really, you know, fast music, fast changing screens and stuff like that. And while we probably won't be able to get it just like they did because Apple's just kind of on a level of their own, we're going to try and get really close. It's going to take some work. I'm going to say that first because you're using something like Screenflow, so you don't get quite as much fine control. But this is an awesome technique, and I know a lot of people are probably going to say, like, you could just go buy a template. And yes, you can go buy a template. I'll put templates in the description for you to check out. But I want to show you guys how to make this because I think it's an awesome trick to use. You can use a lot of these tools that I'm going to show you later on in other projects, and hopefully just gives you a better understanding of the software you're using. So when I saw that, that was, like I said, that was announced 2016. I was working on Mac Basics, and so I wanted to do something similar. And so basically, I recreated a similar video to announce Mac Basics. Now, you may have seen this; it's on the channel somewhere. But I'll just play you my version of it, and we'll just go from there. So it's about a 15-second animation, 18 seconds it says there. And that took me, I want to say, about an hour or two max to really make this whole thing inside of Screenflow. As you can see, there are a lot of text layers, especially for this. The counter here, I did that all just using static text. also this was like, you know, a year ago when we had 26,000 subscribers, 25. And let me just mute this so we can scrub through here. But yeah, so you can see there's just tons of text, just, you know, just to make that one little counter go up. And I'll get into each piece separately. But yeah, everything that you just saw was done using Screenflow, just Screenflow. So Screenflow actions, just using you know, transitions, making each text layer very short, so that you can, you know, it looks like it's moving a lot faster. So the thing that's really gonna make this whole animation come together is the music. So I got this from Audio Jungle, and you can find a similar one. It's just look up like Stomp, you know, trailer or opener or something, or something like that. It's like everywhere on places like Audio Jungle or Epidemic or whatever. You'll find them anywhere. But that's really gonna make your whole animation come together because it's the same style as the Don't Blink video, and so we want to try and emulate that as best we can. So definitely make sure you grab a track that's really upbeat, and also make sure that you really plan out what you want to say. I had a file somewhere. I mean, you know, it's nothing fancy, but basically I just pulled out like a text note and I just wrote out this whole script that I wanted to say. So I had like frustrated with your Mac, iPad, iPhone, and then the goat screaming, because who doesn't like goat screaming? And then I had Mac Basics is here to help join, you know, X amount of subscribers to learn how to get the most out of your Mac, blah, 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 blah. So basically, there's maybe like 2 or 3 sentences of text to make this entire animation. So don't start your, I wouldn't start this whole process without knowing exactly what you're gonna say, because it takes so long to make each text element and transition it that you don't wanna, you know, make changes and have to reanimate everything at the end. So definitely make sure you write that out first and, you know, finalize that, and then I would start working on what, you know, the actual animation stuff. So definitely make sure you get that music track, make sure you write out your script, and then after that, it's really just as much time as you want to put into it. Like I said, that was about 2 or 3 sentences, maybe, more like 1 or 2, and that whole animation is, about 15 seconds. So about an hour or 2 of work just for that 15-second clip. If you want a minute-long clip, then you want to probably multiply. It's going to be like 8 hours of work. You know, and you can duplicate some animations here and there and stuff like that. But yeah, it's gonna be some work. But let's get started, and I'll stop rambling. What we're gonna do is just create a new project. I'm gonna move this over here. All right, new document. I'm just gonna be not that size. I'm gonna be working in 1080p at 30 frames a second. I'm going to be using the same music. All right. Sweet. Perfect. Now I'm just going to mute this audio just for a second while we're like bringing stuff in, because if I scrub through it, you guys are going to hate me because it's going to sound horrible. But yeah, so I'm actually just going to use the same text just because I can kind of copy all the same work, because there's a lot of intricate things. But you can, you can write whatever you want in this piece, but it's going to be about 15 seconds. So whatever you want to say, just make sure it fits in that time space. Also, I see there's a comment in the chat that's asking how they did the phone animation. I'm assuming you're talking about like these little like clips right here. Those were definitely, yeah, I would like probably say Cinema 4D. They just have a bunch of renders, and then what I would guess they're doing is each iPhone is its own render, and then they like just brought it into After Effects or something and just had like a nice that step motion you'll see like as they kind of open up like that. So you can, that's those little cutaways from the text are really nice to add to your animation if you have something cool like that, something quick. I'm not going to be showing any of those clips. I'm just working with text pretty much. Obviously, I had like the goat cutaway. If you want to do that, you totally can. Just add some humor, which is always great. But yeah, so let's go ahead and just jump into this. So I'm going to say frustrated. One thing you definitely want to do when you're working with text like this is you want to make it really big and bold for people to see. So I'm using a nice font, Proxima Nova. You could use something even like Helvetica, Bebas New, just something really heavy or at least something with a lot of font weight so that you can actually increase this. Now, if you don't know how to change the weights, obviously you can just hit bold in Screenflow, and that'll usually get you what you want. But you can also click on the font size and go to font panel, and then you get a little bit more options. You can change the size, but you could also go to like extra bold. I think you have to select it. There you go. So we can say extra bold. I think that's a nice weight there. All right, so I'm going to say frustrated. Also, like if you guys haven't figured this out yet, when you're working with like animation and design, like sometimes you get maybe this is just me, but sometimes you get so focused on like what you're doing that like it's very easy to make typos. So like, and then even when you're not making typos, words just start looking very, very strange, and you're wondering like what the heck you're doing with your life. But so if I make a typo, you'll probably see it before I do. But that was just a fun extra thing. All right, so what you want to do, the key here is really to make the changes as fast as possible, obviously. First of all, we want to make this nice and big, filling most of the screen. The thing is here is that you don't get a lot of time. Some of these changes are going to be, quarter of a second, like almost split second changes. So you don't have a lot of time to do fancy, animations. It's really just something popping and moving really quick. So I wouldn't spend too much time making, nice smooth transitions. That's not what we're doing in this project. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start that animation off with, starting it first in the center, and then it's going to go like off to the side, and then, flip around, and then we'll land. Now, where we're going to land is going to be dependent on the music. So I'm going to turn this music on for a second. If you don't know, just a quick thing about Screenflow, you can mute these audio tracks by just clicking on the icon. It took me forever to figure that out. I would keep hitting this and like nothing would happen, but you have to hit the actual icon, and that'll do it. But yeah, so if you actually look at the waveform, make sure this isn't gonna like kill our ears. Yeah, so let me just play this. All right, so you see at about 0.4 seconds, that big waveform there, you can hear it. It's that big like drum sound. That's where we want the text to land. So we're gonna have it popping around, and then it's gonna land back like this in the center. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start it in the middle like this, and then we're also gonna land it in the middle. But while we're in between this little gap here, what we're gonna do, we're gonna drag this out to about 0.15, and then this one is gonna we'll go into the video properties, and we're just gonna rotate this. Which axis is it? Not that one for sure. You can do that if you want. Definitely not that one. Yes, that's the one. I'm just gonna do this like 90 degrees. I'm gonna put it like up here, and then I'm gonna have one more text layer, and this one's gonna go like upside down. So let's go hashtag Stranger Things. We'll just do this like off to the side, something like that should be good. This is really up to you guys. Like, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. Hopefully you get the idea that it's just kind of floating around. So if we just watch this back, you'll see it just starts in the middle. And obviously I didn't extend this. Let's watch it like one more time. So it's quick. It's not super interesting. I mean, it's not super I don't really know. But it's not, you can see how much like work we did just to make that, half of a second of video. You know, so it's crazy, but it looks cool. Obviously, you can adjust it. We might come back to this a little bit. I might actually just split these so they're like the same. Yeah, that should be good. So let's watch it one more time. All right, now what we want to do is actually what we're going to do is scale this one down because now we're like starting our script. So we're going to go, where's my font? Let's go to like 96 or something like that. Should be good. If you're ever unsure like what sizes to use, I would always just go bigger because you really don't want people to miss it. If you know this is supposed to grab their attention, you don't want them to miss any of the little pieces. So let's take around 144, and what we're gonna do is have it actually change on this next stomp here. So let's listen one more time. So right here, you can probably hear that. I know it probably sounds horrible. I apologize. But that's what we're going for. This little snapping motion right there. We're gonna say with. Put that in the middle, and let's see what we got. All right, perfect. Now, what we're gonna do here is actually right as it hits there, when it hits the next one, we're gonna have it add some text. Now this is where things get kind of interesting because instead of just duplicating this and saying your, I think it'd be cool to actually add your on the same line as with. So what we're going to do is duplicate that text and we're going to say with your, but we want it to still be centered because, OCD. And what we're going to do is just play this back. All right. So we've got frustrated with your. We got 3 words, guys. Just rocking right here. But this is where it's going to get cool because we're going to actually add like the with your Mac, iPad, and iPhone. So let's see. We're gonna go to the next. I'm trying to find the next cut here in the music. So perfect. All right. So let's drag this out to about here. And what we're gonna do is duplicate this one more time, and we're gonna say with your, and we're gonna say Mac. But what we're gonna do is actually use the same text here because I think it'd be cool to have this like slide over. So what I'm gonna do is drag this down, all down, so we create another layer. I'm gonna put this on top of the other text. Oh, it looks like this has. There you go. So obviously it's just a jumble right now, but I'm gonna add a video action here. Just add an action. And basically, if you don't know, an action is kind of like setting keyframes, so the one at the end is just where it's going to go to. So I'm going to just drag this text until it lines up with the with your. And what's nice about Screenflow, at least, is it does kind of figure out what you're doing. So you can see it kind of just snap together. And then now we've got this sliding like Mac. And you can make that nice and snappy by just dragging that audio or video action down. So we're gonna say Mac, and we'll say iPad, and oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Let's do what we're gonna actually do. I think it'd be cool. I'm just referencing the other animation so I don't mess this up. We're gonna actually have that flicker. So let me just bring this over so you guys can see. So if you don't, what is Screenflow doing with its life? Well, if Screenflow was cooperating, I'll just kind of show you here. You can see we have like these, the text here. Man, are you serious? Man, okay, well, basically the Mac is kind of like, oh, there you go. So the Mac like flickers on and off, and then we have iPad and then iPhone. So we're gonna try and make that flickering effect. So that's just what I forgot. So what we're gonna do is keep with your, and instead of having with your Mac, we're gonna leave this guy here, and we're gonna go up to the top, and Man, all these backdrop things on the text. Delete that. We'll just type Mac. Let me hide that for a second. And I'm going to type Mac again just so we can figure out where this one needs to go. So like I said, Screenflow will snap. You see it kind of figures out what I'm trying to do. So it sees that that's Mac. Now we can go into Mac here and delete that. And now everything is perfectly centered. But we're using two different text layers. So we've got Mac. And we're going to try and do that flicker effect. So what I'm going to do is just drag this back a little bit. So it's going to flicker off for a second. And then it's going to come back up at about just before this 2.5, and we're going to drag this really small. Now you want to make sure that you're probably going to spend most of the project this way, but you want to make sure you're pretty much all the way zoomed in. That's going to make it so that you can actually drag these text layers to a really short size. Otherwise, if you're like this big, you don't have as much control. That's kind of just obvious, but just want to make sure. So then we're going to take that, leave some gap here so it flickers again, and then we're going to have flicker on, and then we're going to have it stay up there until about 3 seconds or so. And this is really just going to allow, so if we just play this back, you'll see it's like with your Mac. So it's like a really quick flicker. We could even drag these closer together to make that a little faster. So obviously the less space between each text layer, there you go. So that's staying on there. That's going to stay till about 3 seconds or so. And then we'll say iPad. So before I get to iPad, let's just make sure everything's in time with the music, because I can guess where we're going to put this, but it really comes down to making it really smooth and in line with what's going on in the music. Every little hit makes such a difference. Even if you have like a hi-hat or some kind of percussion, some random sound in the track that's just like, like a cowbell or something, that would be really cool to sync up with this flicker. So you really want to make sure that it's in time with the music. So if you're using a different track, then obviously this is going to be different for each project, but let's just see what this sounds like. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to kind of grab. If you hear that little snare hit, I know it's really subtle, but so just after this big hit, listen to this. It's like I'm a drummer, so it makes sense to me, but it's like right here. And that's what we're trying to make that flicker. So we're trying to make it so that like the music is actually affecting the text, which is what really brings it together. And then so we're gonna have so right there is where we want the text to change again, and then we're gonna have it change to iPhone. So I believe that's right here. So it's really helpful to be able to see these waveforms. You could even make this bigger if that helps you. Now there's gonna be some things that aren't perfectly centered. Obviously iPhone is a longer word than iPad and Mac, so we're not perfectly centered. Don't worry about it. It's not worth really moving all the text over just to make it centered. And actually I think it kind of adds a really cool, just little off look. Everyone's I think it's very popular to make everything perfectly centered. Make sure, all the line height and line spacing is perfect. I think it's kind of cool to change that up here and there and just make it a little bit different. So if we watch this back one more time. So you hear that? We've got iPhone, or iPad, iPhone. And then if you want to add a break, you want to find, by break I mean like that goat thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, like if you're just joining, this is, let's go find it here. So it's this thing right here. So, and I muted it one more time. If you want to do something like that, I think it's an awesome thing to add. It's a nice break because at this point, it's been 5 seconds, and that might not seem like a lot, people kind of just get overwhelmed with everything that's happening. So, it's kind of nice to break it up. Maybe if your animation is like a minute long, you may have 1 or 2 of these breaks just to do that. The whole Don't Blink video is 2 minutes long, and they have like 4 or 5 of those breaks. Obviously, they're adding other clips away from text where, people don't have to read anything. It's less exhausting, like the iPhone, or just cutting to an abstract piece. But there's a scene where they like break down what lumens are, and they like cut to this professor talking about what a lumen is, or I think it's lumen, or it's some like measure of screens or whatever. But I think it's a nice way to do it. My whole point in saying this is that if you're gonna add a break, make sure it lines up with the music. So you'll see we have this break. If we just listen to this, so right there, if you want to add it, you're gonna cut it right in the middle. This is where it's quietest in the track, and we're just gonna move this over, and maybe about a half second or so. I'm just gonna bring in that same goat animation just to save some time. But basically, what I'm doing is I have this image. It's low quality. I think it just kind of adds the whole effect. But I have it snap really big. It's about 438% already. Is probably why it's such low quality. And then it jumps to 500, and I just have this short little thing of the goat screaming. And so obviously we don't want our music to be there, so we're gonna have it impact right at the end. And I'll sync this up, but let's just watch what we have right now. So we gotta add just before we do that, we gotta add the flicker here. If you want this to flicker on and off, we'll paste that in there. Again, zoom in, lets you just move that in a little bit. All right, and then we're gonna clear all that text and just add a big question mark. All right, perfect. So I mean, hopefully you're seeing at this point, like it's gonna be a lot of work just to make this little animation, but I think it goes a long way. The more time you spend here, it's gonna make your animation so much cooler. I guarantee it. Like the first time I did this, I didn't expect much coming out of Screenflow. I wasn't like super impressed, and then I just spent more and more time like tweaking everything and making it just a little bit better. What the heck? Making it better by like changing the font size to 13,000. Cool. So this is gonna be our little question mark. Now we can watch what we've got and see what it looks like. So that's actually pretty good so far. But what will help you just when you're jumping back into the music is making sure that your impact is right as the music clears. If I had it like here, or just listen and watch the difference. It's not that bad actually, but maybe your music has like another 2 or 3 seconds of space here. You don't want that to be too awkward. So what I would recommend doing is really just cutting it down so it's like you can see the waveform where that big impact is. Right there, that's kind of where you want it to hit. If you do have like a reverse effect, like you can kind of hear it, like you hear the music coming in, like this part right there really helps. And I think, let's see if we can do this. Yes, okay, so if you are using Screenflow, what are we on? 7.2. If you're using Screenflow 7 and your music does not have this like reverse effect, what you can do is, let's do this. Is like, let's say like this is the music right here. Like you want this to sorry, let me start over. So this is where really like you want the music to land, right? You've got that nailed down, but you don't have the reverse effect. Let's say you're gonna make this the reverse effect, or we'll drag this out and say like, all right, perfect. Like I'm trying to find an impact, like right here. What you could do, you basically find, and this is pretty much what they did to make the song. I can pretty much guarantee it. Is they just took an impact. I'm trying to find like probably here. Yeah. So if you have an impact like this, so just go find like one drum hit like that, then just double click it and say play clip in reverse. And then what you want to do is make sure that the right where like it gets loudest. So you hear that? Sounds almost the same thing as when I have 4 clips playing. It's you know, it's a little bit more obvious. Maybe that's what you're going for, but you want to make sure that that impact lines up right with it, and then you can listen to this. So you know, if you just had, it's like the same thing. So if your music doesn't have that impact, that's just a little trick you can do. Cool. So I also just noticed we're like already at 55 minutes of streaming. I guess I'll try and speed this up, but let me see. This, I mean, I don't want to leave you guys hanging because we don't have much, but let's add, I think it's cool to always add your logo if you're promoting a product, or your whatever your main theme is or whatever. Like if we're doing this for Mac Square, I would add like the Mac Square logo. I did this for Mac Basics, so I'm just gonna copy from that and paste this in here. And you want that big impact to mean something. The music has just stopped. You've had a funny moment. People probably laugh, hopefully. And then you want the first thing they see when they're like back, ready to hear it and like read through flying text again. You want that to mean something. You've got their attention. What do you want to say? Logo. It makes a huge difference. That's the first thing they see. So let's just like flicker this on. I think I said Mac Basics is. So we're gonna have Mac Basics, and then I'm gonna say is. Let's say is, and I'll change this to 144 is, and I'm gonna flicker this on as well. I'm trying to go a little faster just so that we can get this done. All right, so let's see what this looks like. Yes, that was so fast. I didn't even, okay. Obviously, so I made a mistake. Obviously, you want the logo to be up for enough time for people to read it. Let's have it at least like, up to here, I think. Yeah, like at least a second. I think that's a second, yeah. Good times. So let's see what this sounds like. Well, yeah, so that's Mac Basics is. It's flickering, it's fast, and then we'll have it stay on here. And I think I said is here to help. So here, and this is a little thing, like it's all the little things that make this animation so much cooler. Like is here, and we're gonna, instead of just saying like is and then duplicating this just like I did with the Mac and iPhone thing, instead of just saying here to help, like sure, like it's cool. One thing we could do is have here, I'm just finding those impacts with the drums, is here, and let's have like to help, we're gonna do this, right? To help. To help, but instead of just jumping to that, it's really cool if you can have that kind of start with the 2, so kind of break it up. So 2 would be like this, and then we're gonna have this jump over just to help. It's so subtle, but it makes it's weird. It makes like such a difference, and like if you don't, if someone's watching and they don't know anything about animation, they probably wouldn't be able to tell you like, oh, you should do this. But like if it's there, like people notice it and it makes such a difference. It's just one of those weird things. So let's just see what we have. Very fast. What would probably be best is to do is actually to make these to help a little bit longer. So maybe just like double it there. And actually, what I'm going to do is put this 2 with that 2. So it actually isn't centered. And so I just, forgot to do that. But that's what really draws people's eyes, because everything else up to this point has been centered, and now something's not centered, and then they're like, oh, what's it to help? So it's subtle. All right. So what I'm going to do, and you guys might not love this, but I'm going to try and skip around and just show you like how I did the big counter here. I'll drag this over really quick. This is like what the heck, Screenflow. There you go. So this took forever, but I kind of faked it. So yes, there's a lot of text layers, but the way I faked it is, I don't know if I can even show you. Let's see. So check this out. We've got 595, and instead of going 596, 597, 598, I just skipped numbers. The first time I did this, I started with like 59, so 26595, and I went 96, 97, 98, and it was like the most boring animation like I could have made. And then what I decided to do is to kind of trick people to think it's moving faster. You start with the number, just pick a random number. Like if I'm trying to get to 26734, that's the number you're getting to. Just pick something far off from that. So I picked something that was 200 numbers away from that. And I started with that like 595, and then I skipped to 596, and wait, hold on. Sorry. So I started it slow, so it's 596, 597, 598, and then I skipped 602, 624, 633, 54, so on. So you start it slow, so you want to make people think it's like okay, yeah, it's slowly counting, and then it just gets so crazy. So if we watch it back, this is what it looks like. So if you can see here, like you can kind of still make that out, but then it's like it just starts skipping numbers so fast. So you start it out slow, and that's what really makes it. So what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna skip to that, and we'll say, so let's say like, let's just pick something random, like 50,000 is the number we're trying to get to, right? We'll put that there, and the whole count up is gonna be like less than a second. We're gonna go like down here. I'm gonna pick something like, let's do like 42,000. Pick something off too, like something like, you know, an odd number helps, and you put that there, and then we'll put, you know, 8, 9, you know, 90, and then we'll start skipping numbers. So we'll put something like 701, 726 or 27 is great. Whatever. And like 47 or 49. And then we'll skip to like 805. And then if we just watch this back already, you'll see we have, it actually looks pretty decent. It looks like you went into After Effects and really animated that, you know, actually counting up and like sped up the animation. So that's a little trick you can do. The other thing, just before we go, I'm trying to find, there's a couple other tricks like this. So I actually spelled out the word. So I went to learn like this. So I started with, this is another thing, you can like flip up the text like that. You can, I think I used like the X rotation. So it just flips over, and then as it flips, it reveals 2. So 2 kind of finishes that. To learn, I spelled that out. So you just take, what you would do here is you would put to learn, right? And then what you want to do is go like to here and take out N and make sure it's actually still centered, because what you don't want to do is like to lir, and then that centers, and then there's no space for the N. So you want to already have it in place for the full word so that it's already centered when you start. So like that's centered, and then it's just adding letters. It's not moving over to the left as new letters come in. You could have it do that if you wanted to. Flicker effects everywhere, that always helps. This was another thing, like changing colors like that, you can invert. It's a little thing grabbing people's attention. I wouldn't do it too often. This is one of my favorite. Is it's so smooth. It's like the breath of fresh air, kind of like the humor thing, like throwing in something funny or just like a B-roll sequence. But this right here is like, I don't know why I think it's so cool. It's probably not even that cool, but it's just like a nice transition. Instead of something flashing, it's like a little bit of empty space, and then it just says get. It's fading on. These kind of things are the easiest to do. So I'll just do it for you right here. If we have two, I'm gonna add a video action, and what I'm gonna do is go to the beginning of that video action because I want the keyframe it goes to be what it is now, and I'm gonna move it over. Let's go position. This, yeah, okay. Negative, let's say like negative like 100, and opacity 0. I'm just gonna hide this layer for a second, and boom. It's so simple. It's so easy to do. It's just moving over and fading. You could even have it start like, you can click this too and just drag it and just have it like move off from some random dimension and do whatever. But really, like, that's the whole animation. It's like, I have a couple more flicker effects, like where the music gets really big. So, you can hear it. So instead of like, so it's getting big, it's like it's really building. Right here, I did that most. I flipped it over, switch this off again. And that's another thing I did. I did like the outline of out, because it's like outline. I literally went to, again, it's so easy, guys, if you're using Screenflow. I took off the fill, and I literally just had outline. The next layer was filled. It's little things like that. And then as the music gets bigger, you'll notice the font gets bigger. So we've been at about 144. And then you can see we're getting at, let's see if I can find where now we're at 170, 244, 300, and then at just gets, flickers on and off, and then learn Mac Basics, and then it lands. So it's a really quick animation. What I'll actually do, just because we're running out of time, is I'll probably just share this whole project file with you guys, so you can mess with it yourself. You can change out the text. You can just use it as a free template, whatever you want to do. But I hope that I kind of explained how to do some more advanced animations in Screenflow, more like Apple. I know it's not like the don't blink video, but it's 80 or 90% of the way there, honestly. Like, yeah, sure, there's little things like the iPhones coming in and whatnot, but if you're doing this for a client, or if you're just doing this for your own YouTube channel, or for whatever it is, whatever product you're doing, or for just a hobby, this is a really cool little trick to do. Like, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you don't want to pay someone else to do it, you can totally do this yourself, and it doesn't take too long. I know in about an hour, we got about half of it done. It's about 8 seconds. Sure, there's a lot of text layers, but like that's 2 hours of work, and sure, you could go buy a template or whatever, but now you like have such a better understanding of Screenflow. Like, I can't tell you like how much more I learned about Screenflow. Like, I could do so many more cool things in this software. So if you're doing this in like iMovie, or you're doing this in, I don't know, Motion or whatever, like, you can do so many more cool things now that you know what to do with these new tips and tricks. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate those of you who have joined, and I promise I will fix the live stream next time. March 2018, y'all. That's gonna be the one where I get it right. But yeah, if you've joined halfway through, whatever, definitely be sure to check out the Discord channel. I'm going to be announcing it in later videos as well. So we'll try and build that community up so you guys can talk to me, ask me questions, give me feedback, and I'll give you guys some extra tips and tricks. It's a free app to join, by the way. I don't know if I said that. It's not like you have to pay for it. Excuse me. So definitely be sure to check that out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.